See how many people show up. Get this party started. From the grind, and hopefully can answer questions specific to you, right? So had a bunch of good questions come through the pipeline. I picked out 2 that I kind of liked, and like I said, we'll do this again on Tuesday. We'll roll the Instagram Live again. So the first 2 questions that we're talking about today are, 1, how do you get out of the gate stronger on the early part of the season? Because that's not always the easiest thing to do, especially if you're in a cold weather state or states that kind of like ours. You have some good days, a lot of bad days. We were only open 5 days in January. So that's not exactly a awesome stat, right? So how do you come out of the gate strong, and how do you get out and get ready for, like, U.S. Open qualifiers, USAM qualifiers that are happening in May, right? The second question is kind of more of a debunker that I'm going to do. So a lot of people ask me about left arm straight and stuff like that. And if you've ever taken a lesson from me, I love throwing little nuggets out there that are anti Golf Digest vernacular, which is getting better, by the way. A lot of good coaches are starting to put up good stuff. We're getting away from the one-off-isms. If you do have a question while we're rolling it, go ahead and like and comment down below so I know you're in here, and we'll keep it rocking. So give me 1 second to kind of fine-tune a couple things, and we'll start talking about all those different subjects. So trying to get the chat feature to work on my iPad so I can see what questions you're asking, because while I'm doing it on the camera here, I can't see Butler. But hey, look, there you go. It's showing up now. When's Walter coming back? You mean Walt? Oh, God, the squirrely faced Walt. I've been toying around with that idea a lot. The Walt thing is a good one. I like that question. So anyways, all right, let's get into some of the topic of discussion. So I got TrackMan range set up behind me. And in the TrackMan range, we can hit shots and do proximity to the hole and start to challenge ourselves a little bit. So I'm going to hit a few shots. I haven't hit any shots yet, so this will be entertaining on the first swing. But the goal into getting ready sooner is you got to get out of net ball striking, driving range, 1 around every other week mindset, and start thinking about how you're going to play and consequences of your shots. Very fortunate to have TrackMan in a GC3, which I'm actually very frustrated with. Should do a second review, like a part 2 in my frustrations. Not to say you shouldn't get it, but not as good as when I did that review in my book. And maybe I will do a video on that. Anyways, so I have a 160-yard target set up. That should be a pretty easy 8-iron for me. Probably won't get the first couple there, but we'll hit a few and we'll start talking about proximity to the hole and stuff like that. So bear with me as I make a few reps to get loose. The thing that helps players get ready for tournaments, and it's the same for whether you're just coming out of the gate cold turkey or if you're actually mid-season and struggling, is when you're hitting balls thinking you're getting better, it's never the good one that you should be priding yourself in. It's the ones that you don't hit well that you should be paying attention to. Let's just see how this first move goes. All right, session's over. Just, hit it to 6 feet real quick. No big deal. So thinking about proximity to the hole and stuff like that. You know, like I said, not everybody's got a simulator, nobody's got a TrackMan. So the things you can do is like we have our driving range set up by here where we moved the 75 and 200, and it created a couple different things. We created a fairway between the stakes, and we also created a known distance from the back box of 25-yard gappings. So even if we move up 10 yards onto the tee box, we have 25-yard gaps between all those targets, and we can work through different shot distances. And what most players don't do is like they see that great first shot, or maybe just any good shot in their session, and that's what they're focused on. It's like, oh, look how good I hit this one, or I got that one right. And it's not, like I was saying earlier, it's not that that's the one you can't pat yourself on the back for. That's not the one you should be concerned about. It's like, how crooked did that 3rd or 7th or 13th or 30th one go? And so putting pressure on yourself in your practice can help bring together some of those things that you want to Voom today. I don't understand that one. Sorry, buddy. Help bring together some of those things that you want to like see on the golf course, right? So we do a lot of these things called proximity to the hole drills, and from 160 yards, 150 yards, I'm not as bothersome as I am from like 100 and in. When we're 100 and in, I have a drill I have my players do, and if you have a radar at home or a launch monitor at home, definitely do this kind of stuff. We start at 100 yards, and you have to hit it within a 9-foot circle, right? So 3 yards plus or minus, 3 yards left or right, because you get side and total, or side and carry is what we use actually for your to pass the yardage. So you start at 100, get it within that 9-foot circle, you go to 95, go to 90, and you go all the way down to 55 yards. So there's 10 shots: 100, 95, 90, 85, 80, 75, 70, 65, 60, 55. But you only get 30 attempts to pass, right? So there's 10 shots, 30 tries. Basically the way this should work, if you're good at this drill, is 1 shot for your best guess, 2nd shot on a correction, 3rd shot should be dialed up, right? And most people can't pass that drill. Now, if you do it, comment below and tell me you did. Love to see the data to prove you did it too, but it's off of carry and side on TrackMan, not total. I don't care about total. And I've had a couple college players do it. One of my mini tour guys did it. Not many high school kids of mine have done it. Actually, I don't know if any have done it. It's a lot harder than you think, but you're paying attention to that. How would I do this without a razor or TrackMan? So it's a good question. So since you can't, like, you could have your buddy out there with a glove catch it and get a tape measure and a rangefinder. But what I would tell you to do is, and it's the same thing that applies on the golf course. You have a flag stick. It's a known length. So 8 feet, we'll round it to 3 yards. We have pipes that are probably a little bit taller, probably 10-foot pipes. But I could lay that pipe down and say that's about 10 feet away, right? So when I like visually just go lay it over, and if my ball lands within that pipe, I know I did a pretty good job. If it goes past it, sometimes the hills prevent our visual to see like the depth perception side of it. So that's probably where it's a little bit tougher. But definitely left and right. And truthfully, the left and right is probably where most of you need to get better anyways. The plus minus is definitely something that we could improve as we get better for what's going on, as we get better with our loft controls, right? But if you're pretty good at controlling your loft, pretty good at controlling your distance, like relatively, it's usually left-right that's a bigger issue. I don't see many people failing because of plus minus is off when I see them failing left and right. So anyways, let me hit one more because I'm kind of getting itchy. I kind of hit that first one really good. And I'm going to go back there and on my computer and I'll switch it to from pin. Of course, as I do that, I'll probably hit this one to like 97 feet away. But we'll see what happens here. Is that one going to curl in? No, it's not curling in. So let's see what that one was. I think I said 27 or 37 feet, but that was 9 yards. It's in the bottom right corner. It went 155 in the air, 9 yards away. But I would sit here and hit a bunch of shots working through that, right? Just constantly hitting 8-irons, trying to hit one shot. I'm not trying to hit a bunch of different shots. That's probably another factor that players trying to get out of the gate early don't think about, is they're trying to hit all these new shots they've been practicing, or They don't have a go-to shot. Like if you're between a 10 and 20 handicap, the only shot you need to be able to hit is one stock wedge shot. Get it on the putting surface with a controllable distance with a decent trajectory, not a low one or a super high one, just a medium trajectory that gives you a chance to two putt and get out of there and make no worse than a bogey if you miss, right? Here we go, another good question. At the end of the winter and spring, coming in with big steps, suggestion to prepare for the season. Yeah, that's what we're talking about right now, so you'll probably have to catch the first 10 minutes, but the prep parts we're talking about right now is like, we're talking like you've already done the homework in the winter. This is now getting to how do you get out and play. So we're trying to do more performance practice stuff, right? It can be block if you're into the whole block and random thing. It's not about block or random. It's a combination of both. So you kind of need a little bit of both. Depending on where you are in your game is how much of both do you need. So the back to the prep side of stuff is you have a known distance with a flag stick that you can aim left or right with, or when you're hitting balls on the driving range without any kind of launch monitor that you can use is how far away you are. So like I said, we know our pipes are 10 feet. So as I hit my shots to a 100 target on our driving range and that ball lands left and right, I can sit there and lay that pipe down and go, I'm 10 feet here, 10 feet there, and I'll try and set a goal, right? So if I hit, let's say I'm going to hit a 30 100-yard shots today because I'm working on that, dialing in my 100-yard shot. I will sit there and hit 30 of them in a row and then see where the farthest was and how the closest was. About a rope. That's a good question about the rope. We'll get back to the rope in a second. You're doing good, even though you can't speak. You're not native to English. You're doing great. So the left to right part is pretty easy. Like I said, the depth perception is the question. So, but you can start to test what you've been working on. But then get back to what I was saying is pick a shot. I like to play a draw most of the time, unless I hit my heel cutter. But most of the times I'm curving it right to left or I'm hitting it left. And that's all I'm trying to anticipate for. I'm not trying to hit a cut anytime on the golf course with an iron. I'm never trying to hit a cut with an iron on purpose. I'm always playing for a draw. And then it's the same thing with driver. And so you just kind of get good one shot. Like I say, if you're a 10 to 20 handicapper, get good at one pit shot. Don't worry about any of that. And then start to add shots as you start to get familiarity back under your belt. Dormant grass makes a lot of things harder because you don't have that fluff anymore, right? And that fluff helps a lot for slightly fat shots and things like that. You can kind of get away with them. You can't get away with on dormant grass. So keeping those things in mind, I would say the big things for prep are start doing performance practice, start doing some known measured distances for your proximity holes, right? Like you're on the driving range. I was saying use those pipes, or if you have the netting like we do here, the distance with the telephone poles in the distance, you can say the two tightest ones are the fairway, the next two is the rough, next two is the out of bounds. And you can start to create some pressure performance type stuff, right? Since we had a question here in the live real quick, I'll touch into it. The key thing about the rope is learning how to accelerate it quickly and not hitting yourself in the face on the follow through. That is the trick. So can you make the rope go really fast, but then slow your arms down before you whack yourself in the face? So think about that when you give that rope a try. On to the second question I'm handling today from social media being tossed away today. The left arm straight. Okay, so here's the deal on left arm straight. Left arm straight is kind of one of those things that I don't care about. Like, I don't know if I've ever said that tip since I actually started studying the body. Let's put it to you that way. The left arm straight portion is twofold. One, I've been around guys that measure, like they'll digitize your joints to see where your joint is actually. As far as like the AMM stuff, you got it, you're welcome. And seeing where your joints are in your body and then measure your golf swing as it goes around. So the digitized joints measurements have shown that nobody's ever had a perfectly straight arm. Now we've had some close to straight, so straight being 180 degrees because you'd have wrist, elbow, shoulder, but nobody's ever been dead straight, right? A lot of people have had a little bit of bend. But here's something to think about. One, your risk for elbow injury goes way up if you've hyperextended your elbow. Think about your golf club going 70 miles an hour, wrecking into the ground, because it's going to wreck into the ground or hit a golf ball, and you have a hyperextended joint and you make contact to the ground, your elbow is not going to last very long, right? And Brits Koepka, Jordan Spieth are two great examples of guys with bowed left arms, like left elbows, bowed at impact. So proofs in the pudding, you don't have to have a left arm straight. Now, another caveat, right? This is like the teaching manual from 1986 they gave me in college that was older than me. We refer to the left arm in levers. So you got lever in your left hand, lever in your shoulder, and lever in your elbow. And they did it in that order for whatever reason. But it's not that you can't have your elbow bend using the golf swing. Because think about it. What's faster, if I went like this with my arm or added a little bit of that with my arm, right? So again, the left arm straight thing's never been one that I've concerned myself with. Now, let's take a step back. There are times where it can be detrimental. Now, I'm talking like if you started here and you went and gave me one of those, we'd be having a conversation. But the conversation wouldn't be to get your left arm straight. The conversation would be to change your perspective on the width of your golf swing. So if I told you to swing inside of a phone booth, you'd probably make a golf swing that looked like that. But if I told you to make the widest golf swing you can make, that left arm would stay straight. And there's only key times where we're actually looking for it to be straight. And that's kind of more when you kind of hit that left arm parallel spot, because then as it starts to go over your head, you'll probably see some players start to bend it. That's fine, right? You got your width here, arm starting to bend at the end. No big deal, not getting flabbergasted over it. But if you really are working towards that, and that's something you're trying to get done, the safest, best way I can ever tell you to think about it is to not try and make your arm straight and lock out the joint. That's dangerous. Is to make your hands go wider from your body. If I was to push you away, my arms would be straight, but they wouldn't be hyperextended. Okay, think about like if you like deadlift, and how many times you see somebody deadlift, lock their knees out at the end, they held their breath too long, and then they pass out forward, right? So we don't want, or like squatting, same story, right? Get in the squat, pass out. So we don't want hyperextension, we just want width. That's the only thing we're trying to do with left arm straight, and it's not even a big caveat to me unless you absolutely suck at having some kind of width in your golf swing. So, one last shot, just to kind of keep you guys entertained with me hitting golf balls. We'll see if I can hit one kind of good while talking, and we'll wrap this baby up. Oh, it's fading away from me. Went to the wrong flag. Won't make it in the wrong hole. Oh, that question came in. Wow, I'll have to save the spinner for the next one. I love the question, though. Well, I'm making notes. Don't worry, we got plenty to cover, and I couldn't cover everybody's today, so I apologize. I couldn't cover every shot under the sun or every tip under the sun today. I'll have more for you next week, so stay tuned for that. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me here for the last, how long have we been doing this? Basically 20 minutes, so love the support and look forward to doing this again. Like I said, I'm going to try and start doing these on Tuesdays and Thursdays as I field questions. So if you got questions, throw them in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. Message me so that way I can answer them for you in these live scenarios. And if it's your question we're talking about, or you think it could be your question we're talking about, hop in, tell a friend, and we'll cover it. And you can ask me live as I'm going through this what we're doing, like some people have already got a little taste for. So thank you guys. I'll holler at you soon.